Hi, thanks for finding me. My name's Dr. Steve Simpson, and I'm a medical doctor and a mind coach. And the purpose of this video is to announce my new online coaching program for poker players. How did I get into the world of poker? Well, I can tell you that I didn't plan it that way. Indeed, perhaps that's the first lesson, because how often in life do you have your detailed plans, which you worry about, and then life goes in a completely different direction? So this is the very quick story. Um, I live in England and in Portugal, and I was in Portugal playing golf with a young Irishman one day, and he's a very good golfer. His name's Rory Brown, and afterwards we went into the bar and we had a beer, and we're just making conversation. And Rory told me that he was studying a master's degree in psychotherapy, which of course interested me, and I wanted to know all about that. And then he said he was part funding, or totally funding his studies perhaps, by being an online poker player. Well, I would really wanted to know all about that, and he explained it to me. I knew a bit about poker. I'd played a bit of poker myself, but certainly not at a very high level. And I immediately realized that I'd never worked with any poker players before, and yet the mind skills that I was using with international athletes and tour golfers and actors and business people were equally, at least equally applicable in the world of poker. So with Rory's consent, we started experimenting with a few things just to see if that was true. And it certainly appeared to be. And Rory then he was at at a live event in Holland, I think, and talking to a friend of his called Liv Bory, who, as you might know, is one of the top female players in the world. And she was investigating the possibility of having some mind coaching, and Rory gave her my card, which he still had in his wallet, I'm glad to say, and Liv made touch with me. So we did some work together just before Christmas 2013, and what I remember is I just finished presenting a seminar in London in January 2014, when I'd been talking about health, wealth and happiness, and had slipped in the word luck somewhere, which is a different story. But I dashed straight from this seminar up to Edinburgh, where Liv was playing in a tournament, and I'm glad to say that she came second in that. So that was a pretty quick result for Liv, which she was really thrilled about, and so was I, because I was having so much fun. And my next client was Chris Moorman, and all the people that I've worked with, they've all been word of mouth referrals, which I suppose is the best thing. Chris, I have to say, and we laugh about this now, was a bit skeptical. He'd heard about some of the results that I'd had, and he said, well, this is probably just variance. Well, it could have been, but the thing was that that all of my players were making money, and so Chris was sufficiently interested to meet up, and so that we could actually arrange a meeting physically. I had to fly to Vancouver, but I'm really glad that I did, because I worked with Chris for 3 days pretty intensively, and he was the model student, because you don't get to be the top of any field, let alone professional poker, without being very committed and putting the work in. And he did put the work in. And as I left for the airport after our final session, I said, Chris, look, I don't know what's going to happen. Of course, the big thing that he wanted was to win a live event, because he'd never won one before. I said, look, Chris, I don't know what's going to happen. All I can say is that with all the work we've done, I can see that your mind is in a really good place right now, and anything could happen. Well, a few days later, anything did happen, because to his surprise and to my surprise, he won the LA WPT, which was his first live event, and it was a big one, and he netted over $1 million for that. So that was really good for Chris, obviously, and for me, and indeed we still work together and are constantly learning new things about the mind and poker. So that's quite a long-winded story to the introduction of this online coaching program. But really, what I'd like to do is to work with a few more players. It can't be very many, because my coaching programs are pretty intensive on me as well. and that's why there's a limit to it. And I'm very well aware that poker players live and work all over the world. They're constantly moving. And so that's why online coaching is a way to solve some of those problems. So this is the program. What does it involve? Well, it's broken down into 9 modules. You only get one module at a time. You get as much email support from me as you want. You do not move on to the next module until I'm satisfied with the work that you've done and the exchange of our emails, that you've grasped enough of the material to move on to the next level. So the course is designed to take about 10 weeks, but it doesn't really matter. Some people do it quicker, although I don't necessarily recommend that, and some take it a bit slower. It really doesn't matter because everybody's different. So what are the things that will be in these modules? Well, just to give you a very brief run through, we will talk about goals, which is pretty important. I know you've heard all about it before, but so many people have goals that are just inappropriate or not as good as they could be for them. And so it's worth getting those right. We talk about confidence because we all need more confidence. Doesn't matter how confident we might be, a little bit extra is always going to help, especially in the world of poker. We talk about visualization skills, deep visualization skills, which can be very important too, which are very important. We talk about mindfulness. Now, being in the moment in poker is absolutely critical. Once the mind starts fleeting forwards or backwards in time, is not going to help your poker. So it's all about staying in the moment, and I know how hard that can be for people. So that's why it's an important part of the course. And then I've got the tools that I use with most players one way or the other, and they include hypnosis, havening and heart math, and I explain what those are and how I think they can be most beneficially employed. We talk about adversity, we talk about the dreaded tilt, because that's going to come to all of us at some point, and what are strategies to deal with that, and if possible, turn it to our advantage. And then the penultimate module is about magic. My definition of magic is something that's currently unexplainable, which leaves the door open to it being scientifically explained in the future, and it may well be. An example of magic is something, inexplicable. And certainly I thought it was pretty magical when, Chris won his first live event shortly after working with me. All of my players, with one exception, which I don't feel good about, have gone on to win money pretty quickly after working with me. And let's hope that trend continues. What is the cost of this program? It's $999, and I know that will be a mouthful for some people, and but as you can imagine, it has taken quite a lot of work to put this together. So if you have any other questions, please do let me know, and I'll do my best to answer them. And I do hope that we'll be able to work together. But even if we don't, I still hope you do well. Thanks. Bye-bye.